The human race has been asleep and has dreamed that property and money are the true wealth of a nation. Oh, I can already tell this one's going to be good. So, welcome to the journey. May this space inspire you to ask questions, explore the unknown, and most importantly, to awaken. This is the Library of Awakening. Alrighty, Library of Awakening family, what is going on? Welcome back to another episode. This is actually going to be a morning read today. We're going to be picking a book at random and reading the very first chapter of whatever book we land on in today's episode. So, hopefully, you guys enjoy. As always, if you are new to the Library of Awakening, welcome. We do appreciate you guys if you're returning. If you have already subscribed to the platform, thank you so much. We are almost at 300 subscribers. We could not be more appreciative of all the love and the support. If you are new here, do me that favor, smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the platform as we are trying and making a healthy attempt to grow this YouTube channel organically from the ground up. So your support is very much appreciated and goes such a long way in helping this channel grow. With that being said, let's head over to the private CyberX Discord where you guys can find the vast collection of all the books that we have in the Library of Awakening section. Not even exaggerating, hundreds, if not thousands of books. I'd say thousands of books, but I've never counted because there's too many to comprehend sometimes in the CyberX Discord. You guys can find them by heading over to cyberxtrading.com and tapping in with us in this new year. So today we're just going to be jumping into the books only section. We have so many different curated sections: ancient wisdom, symbolism, esotericism, human psychology, wealth building, trading psychology, market behavior, elite agendas, global power. I mean, the list goes on. So just jumping into the books only section, there was like 50 new books shared today. This one looks phenomenal. The Theology of Arithmetic. Look at that beautiful artwork on the very front of that. I want to kind of get into, ooh, that one sparks my interest. The Tree of Life. Look at that. That looks very, very interesting. Back to that one. The Wonders of the Human Body. Let's continue. Let's see what else we got. To the Homing Pigeon. Let's see. King James. Oof. Where? Let's see. This book has the year 1591 on it. Sheesh. There's so much good information inside the private CyberX Discord in the Library of Awakening section alone. So far, I don't want to sit here and scroll for forever. So let's go back up. The one that caught my attention so far was the Tree of Life. So let's get into the first chapter of this book. Let's dive in. If you guys enjoy this read, again, do me that favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. So let me just take some time. Let's go put this in a chat PDF. So in case we need to make any highlights, we can. And then let's open up that page. So here we go. Download it into chat PDF. All right, so the Tree of Life. Let's scroll down. We're going to skip the intro for the sake of the length of how long the first chapter might be. I've never even looked inside this book before. We're literally just picking one at random today, and we're going to read thoroughly through it. Let's see. All right. Wonders and possibilities of the human body. The human race has been asleep and has dreamed that property and money are the true wealth of a nation. Oh, I can already tell this one's going to be good. Sacrificing men, women, and children to the chimerical idea that danced in visionary splendor through their brains. The result of this to be seen in the uneasiness that prevails everywhere. But humanity is waking up, slowly but surely, and beginning to realize that it itself is the most precious thing on earth. The old establishment statement, the old established statement that the individuals that make up the race are imperfect is no more true than that a pile of lumber is imperfect, that is to be afterward reformed or built into a house. As it is the carpenter's business to take the lumber, which is perfect as material, and build the house, so it is the legitimate work of spiritual man to take the perfect material everywhere present and build, by the perfect law of chemistry and mathematics. The perfected, harmonious human being and with this material employ the same law to build up society collectively. It is a well known physiological fact that the blood is the basic material of which the human body is continually builded. As the blood, so is the body. As the body, so is the brain. As is the brain, so is the quality of thought. As a man is builded, so thinks he, according to the views of students of modern alchemy. As a man is builded, so thinks he according to the views of students of modern alchemy. The Bible, both the Old and New Testaments, are symbolical writings based primarily upon this very process of bodybuilding. The word alchemy really means fleshology. It is derived from chemin, ancient Egyptian word meaning flesh. The word Egypt also means flesh or anatomy. Alchemy, however, in its broader scope, means the science of solar rays. Gold may be traced to the sun's rays. The word gold means solar essence. The transmutation of gold does not mean the process of making gold, but does mean the process of changing gold, solar rays, into all manner of materialized forms, vegetable, mineral, etc. The ancient alchemists studied the process of nature and their operations from the volatile to the fixed, and the fluid to the solid, the essence to the substance, or the abstract to the concrete, all of which may be summed up in the changing of spirit into matter. In reality, the alchemists did not try to do anything. They simply tried to search out nature's process in order that they might comprehend their marvelous operations, or her marvelous operations, talking about nature. To be sure, language was used that to us seems symbolical and often contradictory, but it was not so intended, nor so at all in reality. We speak in symbols. If a man is in delirium caused by alcohol in his brain cells, we say he has snakes in his boots. Of course, no one supposes that the words are to be taken literally. Yet, if our civilization should be wiped out and our literature translated after 4 or 5,000 years, those who read our history might be puzzled to know what was meant by snakes in his boots. Again, it has been believed by most people that the words transmutation of base metals into gold used by alchemists referred to making gold, but a careful study of the Hebrew cosmogony and the Kabbalah will reveal the fact that the alchemist always referred to solar rays when he used the word gold. Base metals simply means matter or basic, the dissolving or disintegration of matter. The combustion of wood or coal seemed as wonderful to these philosophers as the growth of wood or the formation of coal or stone. So the transmutation of base metals into gold simply meant the process of changing the fixed into the volatile, or the dematerialization of matter, either by heat or chemical process. It is believed by modern students of alchemy that the books of the Old and New Testaments are a collection of alchemical and astrological writings, dealing entirely with the wonderful operation of aerial elements or spirit in the human body, so fearfully and wonderfully made. The same authority is given for the statements, Know ye not that your bodies are the temple of the living God, and come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give ye rest. According to the method of reading the numerical value of letters by the Kabbalah, M and E figure B when united. Our B is from the Hebrew Beth, meaning a house or temple, the temple of the soul, the body. Thus, by coming unto the realization that the body is really the Father's house, the temple of God, the soul secures peace and contentment or rest. The human body is composed of perfect principles, gases, minerals, molecules, or atoms. But these builders of flesh and bone are not always properly adjusted. The planks or bricks used in building houses may be endlessly diversified in arrangement and yet be perfect material. Solomon's temple is an allegory of man's temple, the human organism. This house is built, always being built, without sound of saw or hammer. The real ego manifests in a house, Beth, church, or temple, i.e., soul of man's temple. The solar plexus is the great central sun dynamo on which the subconscious mind, another name for God, operates and causes the concept of individual consciousness. The brain of man is the son of God, the mediator or medium between the central dynamo and the cosmic ocean of space. Thus, digestion or combustion of food, circulation of blood and breathing, the breath of life, aerial elements, is carried on by the cooperation of the Holy Trinity, God, the solar plexus, the sun, the brain, and the whole, or the Holy Spirit or air. No wonder that the seers and alchemists of old declared that your bodies are the temple of the living God, and the kingdom of heaven is within you. But man, blinded by selfishness, searches here and there, scores the heavens with his telescopes, and digs deep into earth and dives into oceans and depths, in vain search for the elixir of life that may be found between the soles of his feet and the crown of his head. Oof. Fire. Let's go. Really, our human body is a miracle of a mechanism. No work of man can compare with it, an accuracy of its process and the simplicity of its laws. At maturity, the human skeleton contains about 165 bones, so delicately and perfectly adjusted that science has despaired of ever imitating it. The muscles are about 500 in number, length of alimentary canals, 32 feet, the amount of blood in average in an adult, 30 pounds, or one fifth the weight of the body. The heart is 6 inches in length and 4 inches in diameter and beats 70 times per minute, 4,200 times per hour, and 100,800 per day, 36,720,000 per year. At each beat, 2.5 ounces of blood are thrown out of it, 175 ounces per minute, 656 pounds per hour, or about 8 tons per day. Sheesh. All the blood in the body passes through the heart every 3 minutes, and during 70 years, it lifts 270 million tons of blood. The lungs contain about 1 gallon of air at their usual degree of inflation. We breathe on an average age 1,200 breaths per hour, inhale 600 gallons of air, or 24,000 gallons daily. The aggregate surface of air cells of the lungs exceed 20,000 square inches, an area nearly equal to that of a room 12 feet square. The average weight of the brain of an adult is 3 pounds 8 ounces. The average female brain, 2 pounds 4 ounces. The convolutions of a woman's brain cell and tissue are finer and more delicate in fiber and mechanism, which evidently accounts for the intuition of a woman. It would appear that the difference in the convolutions and fineness of tissue and brain matter is responsible for the degrees of consciousness called reason and intuition. The nerves are all connected with the brain directly or by the spinal marrow, but nerves receive their sustenance from the blood and their motive power from the solar plexus dynamo. The nerves, together with the branches and minute ramifications, probably exceed 10 million in numbers. The skin is composed of 3 layers and varies from 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch in thickness. The average area of skin is estimated to be about 2,000 square inches. The atmospheric pressure being 14 pounds to the square inch. A person of medium size is subject to a pressure of 40,000 pounds. Each square inch of skin contains 35,000 sweat tubes or perspiratory pores, each of which may be likened to a little drain tile, 1/4 of an inch in length, making an aggregate length of the entire surface of the body, 201,166 feet, or a tube for draining the body nearly 40 miles in length. Our body takes in an average of 5.5 pounds of food and drink each day, which amounts to 1 ton of solid and liquid nourishment annually, so that in 70 years a man eats and drinks 1,000 times his own weight. There is not known in all the realms of architecture or mechanics one little device which is not found in the human organism. The pulley, the lever, the inclined plane, the hinge, the universal joint, tubes and trapdoors, the scissors, grindstone, whip, arc, girders, filters, valves, bellows, pumps, camera, an alien harp, an irrigation plant, telegraph, and telephone systems, all these and 100 other devices which man thinks he has invented but which have only been telegraphed to the brain from the solar plexus cosmic center and crudely copied or manifested on the objective canvas. That is deep, right? Like we are for real machines, right? That is crazy right there. No ark ever made by man is as perfect as the ark formed by the upper ends of the two legs and the pelvis to support the weight of the trunk. No palace or cathedral ever built has been provided with such a perfect system of arches and girders. No waterway on earth is so complete, so commodious, or so populous as that wonderful river of life, the stream of blood. The violin, the trumpet, the harp, the grand organ, and all the other musical instruments are mere counterfeits of the human voice. Man has tried in vain to duplicate the hinges of the knee, elbow, fingers, and toes, although they are a part of his own body. Another marvel of the human body is the self regulation process by which nature keeps the temperature and health at 98 degrees, whether in India with the temperature at 130 degrees or in the Arctic regions where the records show 120 degrees below the freezing point. The temperature of the body remains the same, particularly steady at 98 degrees, despite the extreme to which it is subjected. It was said that all roads lead to Rome. Modern science has discovered that all roads of real knowledge lead to the human body. The human body is an epitome of the universe, and when man turns the mighty searchings of reason and investigation within that he has so long used without, the new heaven and earth will appear. While it is true that flesh is made by a precipitation of blood, it is not true that blood is made from food. The, the inorganic or cell salts contained in food are set free by the process of combustion or digestion and carried into the circulation through the delicate absorbent tubes of the mucous membrane of the stomach and intestines. Air or spirit breathed into the lungs enters the arteries, air carriers, and chemically unites with the mineral base, and by a wonderful transformation creates flesh, bone, hair, nails, and all the fluids of the body. On the rock, Peter or Petra, meaning stone, of the mineral salts, is the human structure built, and the grave stomach or hell shall not prevail against it. The minerals in the body do not disintegrate or rot in the grave. The fats, albumin, albumin, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, albumin, fibrin, etc., that compose the organic part of food are burned up in the process of digestion and transposed into energy or force to run the human battery. Blood is made from air. Thus, all nations that dwell on earth are of one blood, for all breathe one air. The best food is the food that burns up quickest and easiest, that is, with the least friction in the human furnace. I just had like a weird thought real quick, off topic, but do you guys remember, if you've been subscribed to the platform, the book that we read about chemtrails and how they are polluting and making our air toxic to breathe? And then this goes on to talk about how blood is made from air. And it would just make so much sense if they want to pollute our blood, they want to pollute our, not just our lungs, but literally the blood within our body, pollute our air, right? That just clicked for me. Then that was interesting. Interesting their connection. If you've watched that previous video read that we did on the chemtrails. The sexual functions of man and women, the holy operation of creative energy manifested in the male and female, the formation of life germs in ovum and sex fluids, the divine procedure of the word made flesh, and the mysteries of conception and birth are despair of science. Know ye not that your bodies are the temple of the living God, for God breathed into man the breath of life. And words of Epictetus, unhappy man, thou bearest a God about with thee, and knowest it not. Walt Whitman sings, I loaf and invite my soul. I loaf and invite my soul. I lean and loaf at my ease, observing a spare of summer grass. Clearing and sweet is my soul, and clear and sweet is all that is not my soul. Welcome every organ and attribute of me and of any man, hearty and clean. Not an inch, not a particle of any inch is vile, and none shall be less familiar than the rest. Divine am I, inside and out, and make holy whatever I touch or am touched from. I say no man has ever yet been half devout enough, none has ever yet adored or worshipped half enough, none has begun to think how divine he himself and how certain the future is. The vagus nerve, so named because of its wandering vagrant branches, is the greatest marvel of the human organism. Grief depresses the circulation through the vagus. A condition of malnutrition follows, and tuberculosis, often of the hasty type, follows. The roots of the vagus nerve are in the medulla oblongata at the base of the small brain, or cerebellum, and explains why death follows the serving or the severing of the medulla. It controls the heart action, and if a drug such as alkanite be administered, even in a small dose, it effects upon this nerve is shown in slowing the action of the heart and decreasing the blood pressure. In large doses, it paralyzes the ends of the vagus in the heart, so that the pulse becomes suddenly very rapid, and at the same time, irregular branches of the vagus nerve reach the heart, lungs, stomach, liver, and kidneys. Worry brings on kidney disease, but it is the vagus nerve, and especially that branch running to the kidneys, which, under undue excitement or worry or strain, brings about the paralysis of the kidneys and the performance of their functions. And we say that a man's heart sinks within him for fear or oppression. It is shown by the effect of this nerve upon the heart action. If his heart beats high with hopes or he sighs for relief, it is the vagus nerve that has conducted the mental state to the heart and accelerated its action or caused that spasmodic action of the lungs, which we call a sigh. The nerves of the human body constitute the tree of life, with its leaves of healing. The flowing waters of the rivers of life are the veins and arteries through which sweep the red, magnetic currents of love, of spirit made visible. Acids and alkalis acting, proceeding, and acting again, operating, transmuting, fomenting, enthrones, and spasms of pain, igniting, reacting, atoning like souls, passing under the rod. Some people call it chemistry, others call it God. Behold the divine telegraph system, the million nerve wires running throughout the wondrous temple, the temple not made with hands, the temple made without sound of saw or hammer. View the central sun of the human system, the solar plexus vibrating life abundantly. Around this dynamo of God, you may see the beasts that worship before the throne day and night, saying, Holy, holy art thou, Lord God Almighty. The beasts are the 12 plexuses of nerve centers, telegraph stations like unto the 12 zodiacal signs that join hands in a fraternal circle across the gulf of space. Aviation, liquefied air, deep breathing for physical development and the healing of diverse diseases rule the day. In every brain, there are dormant cells waiting for the coming of the bridge room, the vibration of the air age, the Christ that will resurrect them. Everywhere we have evidence of the awakening of dormant brain cells. Much, if not all, of spiritual phenomena, multiple personality, mental telepathy, and kindred manifestations are explainable upon the hypothesis of the possibility of awakening and bringing into use of dormant brain cells. The eye is hardly less wonderful, being a perfect photographer's camera. The retina is the dry plate on which are focused all objects by means of crystalline lenses. The cavity behind this lens is the shutter. The eyelid is the drop shuttle. The draping of the optical dark room is the only black membrane in the entire body. This miniature camera is self-focusing, self-loading, and self-developing, and takes millions of pictures every day in color and enlarged to life size. Charts have been prepared, marvelous charts, which go to show that the eye has 729 distinct expressions, conveying us many distinct shades of meaning. The power of color perception is overwhelming. To perceive red, the retina of the eye must receive 395,000 vibrations in a second. For violet, it must respond to 790 million. In our waking moments, our eyes are bombarded every minute by at least 600,000 vibrations. The ear is a colossal mystery, and the phenomena of sound is a secret only recorded in the Holy of Holies of the infinite mind. And what is mind? We know absolutely nothing about it. Some believe that mind is the product of a chemical operation of matter, the atoms or materials that compose the human body. These persons contend that all electrons are particles of pure intelligence and know what to do. Others hold to the theory that the universal mind, whatever it may be, forms a body from some material, they know not what, and then plays upon it or operates through it. Visions of beauty and splendor form a long lost race, sounds and faces and voices from the fourth dimension of space and on through the universe, boundless. Our thoughts go, lightning shod. Some call it imagination, and others call it God. We wonder and adore in the presence of that pulsing orb, the heart. Tons of the water of life, made red by the chemistry of love, sweep through this central throne every day and flow on to enrich the Edenic garden until its waste places shall bloom and blossom as the rose. Take my hand and go with me to the home of the soul, that wonderful brain. Can you count the whirling electric vibration cells? No, not until you can count the sand grains on the ocean's shore. These rainbow hued cells are the keys that the fingers of the soul strike to play its part in the symphony of spheres. At least we have seen the travail of the soul and are satisfied. No more temples of the Magi now, but instead the temple of the ego. The glorious human Beth. At least we have found the true church of God, the human body. I like that right there. In this body, or church spirit operates like some wizard chemist or electrician. No more searching through India's jungles or scaling the Himalayan heights in search for a master, a Mahatma, or ancient priest dwelling in some mysterious cave where occult rites and ceremonies are supposed to reveal the wisdom of the past. But instead, you have found the kingdom of the real within the temple that needs no outer sun by day, nor moon, nor stars by night to lighten it. I like that portion as well. And then the enraptured soul becomes conscious that the stone has been rolled away from the door of material concept where it has slept, and it now appears the voice of the Father within saying, "Let there be light," and feels the freedom that comes with knowing that being is one. And now man, the ego, also realizes that meaning of the day of judgment. It realizes that judgment means understanding, hence the ability to judge. Man then judges correctly, for he sees the wisdom of infinite life in all men, in all things, all events, and all environments. Thus does the new birth take place and the kingdom of harmony reigns now. Man must realize, however, that he is the creator or builder of his own body, and that he is responsible for every moment of its building and every hour of its care. He alone can select and put together the materials provided by the universe for its construction. Man has been able to scale the heavens, to measure the distances between the stars and planetary bodies, and to analyze the component parts of the suns and worlds. Yet he cannot eat without making himself ill. He can foretell eclipses and tides for years in advance, but cannot look far enough ahead in his own affairs to say when he may be brought down with a gripe, or to calculate accurately the end of any bodily ill that may afflict him. When he finds out what he really is and how much he has always had to do in the making of himself what he is, he will be ready to grasp some idea of the wonderful possibilities of every human soul and body, and will know how completely and entirely is every man his own savior. Just so long as he denies his own powers and looks outside of himself for salvation from present or future ills, he is indeed a lost creature. If the race is to be redeemed, it must come as the result of thought followed by action. If the race is to think differently than at present, it must have new bodies with new brains. Man must be born again. Modern physiologists know that our bodies are completely made over every year by the throwing off of worn out cells and the formation of new ones. That is going on every minute. Nature will take care of the making over process, but we are responsible for the plane of reconstruction. Man must learn to run the machinery of his body with the same mathematical accuracy as he now displays in control of an engine or automobile before he can lay claim to his divine heritage and proclaim himself a master of his own. The law of life is not a separate agent working independently of mankind and separate from individual life. Man himself is a phase of the great law in operation. When he once fully awakens to the universal cooperation of the attributes and thoughts through which the great dynamis operate or proceeds, he, the ego, one of the expression of infinity, will be enabled to free himself from the seeming environments of matter, and thus realizing his power will assert his dominion over all he has been an agent in creating. And he has indeed assisted in creating manifesting all that is. Being a thought, an outbreathing of universal spirit, he is co eternal with it. In material concept, we do not begin to realize the extent of our wisdom. When we awaken to spirit consciousness, knowledge that we are egos that have bodies or temples and not bodies that have souls or spirits, we see the object or reason of all symbols or manifestation and begin to realize our own power over all created things. And in this Aquarian age, great changes in nature's laws will be speedily brought to pass, and great changes in the affairs of humanity will result. The laws of vibration will be mastered, and through their operation, material manifestation will be shaped and molded to man's will. It is only a matter of time when all the necessities of life will be produced directly from the elements of the air. It is well known by chemists that all manner of fruits, grains, and vegetables are produced directly from the elements in air, and not from soil. The earth, of course, serves as a negative pole and furnishes the mineral salts of lime, magnesium, iron, potassium, sodium, and silica, which acts as carriers of water, oil, fibrin, sugar, etc., and thus build up plants. But oil, sugar, alluvium, etc., are formed by precipitation or condensation of principles in air, and not from soil. This is a fact abundantly proved. Mr. Bethelot, a scientist of France, Tesla, the Austrian wizard, and our own Edison have long held that food can be produced by a synthetic process from its elements artificially. Some 6 or 7 extracts, as well as coloring material, are now being manufactured in this manner. Matter is made almost exclusively by this process now. Sugar has recently been made in laboratories from glycerin, which Professor Berthelot first made direct from synthetic alcohol. Commerce has now taken up the question, and an invention has been patented by which sugar is to be made upon commercial scale from 2 gases at something like 1 cent per pound. M. Berthelot declares he has not the slightest doubt that sugar will eventually be manufactured on a large scale synthetically, and that the culture of sugar cane and beetroot will be abandoned because they have ceased to pay. The chemical advantages promised by M. Berthelot to future generations are marvelous. He cites the case of alzarin, a compound whose synthetic manufacture by chemists, has destroyed a great agriculture industry. It is the essential commercial principle of the madder root, which was once used in dyeing. The chemists have now succeeded in making pure indigo direct from its elements, and it will soon be a commercial product. Then the indigo fields, like the madder fields, will be abandoned. Industrial laboratories having usurped their place, biochemists long ago advanced the theory that animal tissue is formed from the air inhaled and not from food. The food, of course, serves its purpose. It acts as the negative pole, as does the earth to plant and vegetable life, and also furnishes the inorganic salts, the workers that carry on the chemistry of life, setting free magnetism, heat, and electric forces by disintegration and fermentation of the organic proportions of the food. But air, and passing through the various avenues and complex structure of the human organism, changes, condenses, solidifies until it is finally deposited as flesh and bone. From this established scientific truth, it appears that by constructing a set of tubes, pumps, etc., resembling the circulatory system as well as the lung cells of the human mechanism, which is a chemical laboratory where the chemistry of spirit is ever at work, changing the one essence of spirit substance to blood, flesh and bone, and air, may be changed into an albuminous pabulum, which may be again changed into the special kind of food required by adding the proper flavor, which may also be produced direct from the air. There does not seem to be any reason why this substance, the basis of all food or vegetable growth, cannot, by proper process, be made into material for clothing. Wool, cotton, flax, silks, etc., are all produced from the universal elements through the slow, laborious, and costly process of animal or vegetable growth. Why not produce them direct? Those who believe in a time of peace on earth, a millennium reign, a millennial reign, certainly do not think that our process. Those who believe in a time of peace on earth, a millennial reign, certainly do not think that our present mode of producing food will continue during that age. Slaughter of animals and fruit, grain, or vegetable raising leaves small time for men and women to enjoy a condition foretold by all the seers and prophets. But under the new way of producing food and clothing, the millennium is possible, and thus will the problem of subsistence be solved. No more monopoly of nature's bounties, and exchange of service will be the coin of the world instead of certain metals difficult to obtain. A realization of this vision or theory that will for a while be called visionary by most people will mean Eden restored. The earth will be allowed to return to its natural state. We will cease to eat animals, birds, and fish. Many people have wondered why, during the last few years, fruit pests have multiplied so alarmingly, and why cows are almost universally diseased, and so much attention given to meat, milk, and butter products by boards of health, etc. There is surely a reason. The one life, supreme intelligence, or divine wisdom that holds the worlds of space in their appointed orbits surely knows all about the affairs of earth. When a new dispensation is about to be ushered in, old things begin to pass away. All labor preparing food and clothing is now carried on, will cease, and the people, in governmental or collective capacity, will manufacture and distribute all manner of food and clothing free. Machinery for the production of everything necessary for man's material wants will be simple and easily manipulated. 1/20th of the able body population working 1 or 2 hours a day and shifting every week or day for that matter with others will produce an abundant supply. Neither droughts nor floods nor winters or snow can affect the supply. It can be made in Klondike or the tropics. Garments may be worn for a few days and then burned and laundry work cease. Cooking will be reduced to a minimum. No preparing vegetables, fruit, or cracking nuts. No making butter or preserving meats. Men will not have to devote their lives to the endless grind of food production, nor women to cooking. Dishwashing, sewing, and laundry work, garments of beautiful design and finest textures will be made by machines invented for the purpose, ready for wear. A dream, you say? I cannot admit that in the fact of indisputable evidence already produced, but what if it were at present but the dream it may appear to the one who hears of its methods operation for the first time? Do dreams ever come true? Yea, verily. All concrete facts are materialized dreams. An Egyptian king dreamed in the pyramids of Cheops, mass and miracle his vision. The pyramids are encyclopedic of physical science and astral lore. The science of numbers, weights, measures, geometry, astronomy, astrology, and all the deeper mysteries of the human body and soul are embodied in these incomparable monuments. Dreams of ancient alchemists solidified in stone, and the awful Sphinx sat down in Egypt's sand to gaze into eternity. Columbus dreamed, and white sailed ship turned its prow west and west on uncharted seas with an eternity of water ahead. He remembered his dream and answered, "Sail on," to the discouraged mate until he landed on the unknown shores of the most wonderful new world. Michelangelo dreamed 1,000 dreams, and sleeping marbles awoke and smiled. Hudson and Fulton dreamed, and steamboats run over and over the seas. Pilgrim fathers dreamed in America, the marvel of nations, banners, skies with the stars and stripes. Marcus Whitman and Lewis and Clark dreamed long and hard, and the bones of oxen and men and women and babies made a bridge over the desert sands and in the mountain gorges to the shores of the sundown sea. And now the Pullman cars come safely over. Morse and Marconi and Edison dream strange wild dreams and concentrated in intelligence springs from carbon crucible and say to Earth's boundaries, "Lo, here I am." Vibration of etheric substances causing light through regions of space, a girdle of something unfolding and binding together the race. The words without wires transmitted, aerial winged, spirit, sandaled, and shod. Some call it electricity, and others call it God. A mechanic dreamed and sprang upon his automobile and drove it till the axles blazed and the spaces shriveled behind him. Men of high Strung, airy brains dreamed wondrous dreams, and now the eagle's highway and the open road to men lie parallel. A musician dreamed a sweet, harmonious dream, and forth from the throat of brass and discs of carbon, direct by a million tiny fingers of steel, came the entrancing notes that had run riot through the singer's brain. So let us dream on, men and women of the day, of rest that is already dawning in the heavens. No wonder that Paul said, now, brethren, are we the sons of God, but it doth not yet appear what we shall be as such. The morning light of that glad day now purples the mountains of faith and hope with its rays of glory. And when man is once fully alive to his own heritage, realizing the wonders and possibility of his own body, and to provide for its needs, he will assert the divine right within him to be an ego, a soul, in command of its own temple and the environments of the temple, and will rejoice in the revealed truth of his own divinity that alone can make him free. Wow, what a first chapter. This was a really good pick today. Hopefully, you guys stuck around for the entirety of this. As always, we truly do appreciate you guys sticking around for these reads. So many great, phenomenal books inside the Private Cyberx community in the Library of Awakening section that we plan to get through in future episodes. With that being said, if you guys are not subscribed to the channel, this is your first time here, do us that favor, smash that thumbs up button, subscribe, as we're going to continue to dive into so many more books in future videos to come. With that being said, many blessings to you guys wherever you're at in the world. Peace, love, and light to you and your family members and friends. Hopefully, you guys have a good and amazing rest of your day, afternoon, or night. With that being said, be cognizant, be aware out there, and we will see you guys in the next video breakdown. I know some of the perspectives that I share may be as challenging for you as they once were for me. But isn't that the beauty of exploration? Every perspective, no matter how unconventional, has something valuable to contribute to it if it's shared. Knowledge is not absolute. It's a living, breathing phenomena, shaped and reshaped over time. The important thing is not always be right, but to always be curious. Explore freely, share boldly, and learn deeply. And don't rely solely on others to validate your discoveries. Stand firm in integrity, even in the face of criticism. Remember that growth always means embracing the humility to admit when we're wrong. Learning from our errors is not a setback, it's the very essence of our progress. So, welcome to the journey. May this space inspire you to ask questions, explore the unknown, and most importantly, to awaken. This is the Library of Awakening,